everybody, and welcome to Everyday Manna. Today we are going to make just a classic American meal. We're going to have barbecue sandwiches. To go alongside that, we're going to have a chili roasted French fry, and then for dessert, peach cobbler. So good and so easy. We're going to actually make our pork barbecue in our crock pot. Now I know, there's 1,001 ways to make barbecue. You can do it on a smoker, you can do it on a grill, you can do it in the oven, you can do it on the stovetop. I like a crock pot for my everyday type barbecue because you put it in there, you turn it on, you go about your day, and then later you've got delicious barbecue. Now for today, I bought a small, because the big one's just is too much, but this is just a sirloin pork roast. Very, very inexpensive. It was only, I think, $1.99 a pound. Very inexpensive. But you could also use the Boston butt roast, which is actually from the shoulder. You could use country style ribs. I started to get those, but then I saw that this was actually on sale and less expensive. But the boneless country style ribs make delicious barbecue. So, whatever kind of roast that you want. Now, the key is for this type of barbecue, you want some fat. So a very, very lean loin, pork loin, it tastes good, but it's not going to be that rich, fatty barbecue that we all know and love. And a tenderloin is just out of the question. Don't even bother using tenderloin. It's way too lean. So we're going to use just a pork sirloin roast. Now, I've got a crock pot. I'm going to season it with a little bit of salt and pepper. Not too much, because we've got a lot of flavors going on with our seasoning mix. Then I'm going to just put it in my crock pot. Okay, fat side up, because we want that to render down into the roast. Made a mess already. Now, for our sauce, this is just one container of barbecue sauce. You use whatever kind of barbecue sauce that you like. I'm using about a tablespoon of brown sugar, some soy sauce. I know that sounds weird in barbecue, but it adds such a rich flavor to it. Some apple cider vinegar, and then I'm just going to use some onion powder today. But if you have a fresh onion and you want to chop that up and put that in there, it's delicious too. Either one will work. And then the juice of a lemon. I need to cut my lemon in half. If you take your lemon and you do this, just press down real hard and roll it, it releases the juice, and you get a little bit more juice out of it. If your lemon has a little pointy end and you're using one of these, I like to slice that off because I think it gets the more juice out of it. This is a lemon. You want about a tablespoon of lemon juice. This is a juicy lemon. And I love my little zester thing here, not zester, but juicer. I used to use the wooden reamer, and I love those. But the thing is, you got to hold that over a strainer of some sort. So I like this one because it gets the seeds out for you. And I really do think it gets a lot more of your juice. Okay? Don't need the zest, just the lemon juice. Now stir all that together. Oh, it smells so good. And then pour it over your roast. If you want to thin it out a little bit, and you could add a little water, but the pork is going to release a lot of juice, so I'm not going to add any water today. If your pork roast is not very fatty, you would probably want to add about maybe up to a cup of water to finish off your sauce, but that had a lot of fat on it, and it's going to render out and make my sauce juicier. So I didn't need to add any water. Then just put your lid on it. If I can find my lid. Where's my lid? over here. And you want to put it on, I like to do mine on low, and then let it go about 8 hours, and you have got delicious, delicious pork roast, or pork barbecue. That's all there is to that. You can make barbecue, and then you can put it in your crock pot before you go to work of the morning. And then when you come home, you have a delicious dinner. So that is a quick and easy pork barbecue for you. Now, you know, one of my personal, absolute favorite things to eat in the world are peaches. When they are fresh and they're in season, they are just that drip down your chin, need to eat it over the sink, juicy. There's nothing better. And I will eat peaches just like this. But I also like to make cobbler out of them, out of fresh peaches. It's so good. And really and truly so easy to make. So we're gonna make a peach cobbler. Now this one is a little tiny bit different because you put the batter on the bottom and it rises up to the top. I'm just gonna melt my butter in my microwave, half a stick of butter. We're gonna let that melt. I have here a bunch of peaches. Now, you can use canned peaches if you want to, or frozen peaches. But when they're in season, I want just the delicious, you know, fresh peach. I have here some sugar, some baking powder, some flour. I'm going to stir all that together. Okay. And I had a little pinch of salt in my baking powder because you need that little pinch, not a lot, just a little pinch of salt. I've got some melted butter. Now, you can put your butter in the bottom of your pan, or you can mix it into here. Whatever you want to do is fine. However you want to do it. And then I'm going to stir in some milk, or heavy cream, or half and half. You could use almond milk if you wanted to. Up to you. Coconut milk would be delicious in this too. You want to stir all that together. And this is going to be your batter. My mouth is watering already. That's a little bit tight, so I'm going to actually add a little bit more heavy cream to mine. And it really does just depend on the humidity of the day, like I've talked about so much. Not too much, maybe another tablespoon or so, not too much. I'm using heavy cream, but you could use milk. Whatever you want is fine. Just loosen that up a little bit. And then you're going to put this in the bottom of the pan. I know, sounds weird. Stir it around. Okay. Oh, so good. All right, I'm going to take a quick break, clean this up. When I come back, we're going to talk about the peaches just a little bit and get this in the oven. I'll be back in just a minute. All right, now we've got our barbecue pork in the crock pot. We have made the batter for our cobbler, and with this one you put it in the bottom and it bakes up over the peaches. And now I'm using regular peaches or fresh peaches because they are in season. These are Freestone. What that means, by the way, there are two types of fresh peaches, clean and Freestone. The difference is, well, I'll show you. With Freestone, you just cut around that pit and it comes out. The clean peaches, they do exactly what it says. They cling to it. You can't do this with a clean peach, where you cut it in half, twist it, and then take out that pit, because the peach flesh sticks to the peach pit. So you would just need to slice around that pit. Obviously, you can't eat the pits. Now, depending on how juicy your peaches are, oh, I love peaches. These are yellow peaches. I'm not crazy about white peaches, personally, but now if you want to use white peaches, you go right ahead. I'm just cutting them into slices. Now, these have been washed. I don't peel mine, but if you want to peel your peaches, let me show you a quick, easy way. I think that's probably all I'm going to need. If you want to peel this, of course, you can take a knife and peel it. Or, well, let me just show you. You can do it this way. I think this wastes too much of the peach. But, you know, if that's what you want to do, fine. You got to just use a little paring knife, and you can peel it. I don't mind the peel, though. I've washed them. So, to me, it's fine. Oh, this is just, I mean, really. Or, if you're cooking them, like we're going to be doing, you can drop them, like, you know how we've done tomatoes before, where you cut a little X on the bottom of the tomato, drop it in some boiling water for about a minute, and the skin will slip right off. It's the same with peaches. You can just drop it in some boiling water for about 30 seconds to a minute, and your skin will peel right off. I just feel the need to taste these peaches. Seriously, to me, there's nothing any better than a fresh, juicy peach. And I personally, I really do like the Freestone. Just, oh, so good. I'm going to have a snack. You could, if you wanted to, you could add some blueberries or blackberries to this. Blackberry peach cobbler, out of this world. If you are lucky enough to find some really good, juicy blackberries. Locally here, we have a wonderful, wonderful little farm stand that they had a week or so ago. They had blackberries. Honestly, they were the size of like $half. They were so good, but they didn't have any this time, so we aren't putting blackberries in it, but you can. Now, I like to do mine, just layer them, just like shingles on a roof. Just layer them in there, make them fit. It's okay if they overlap a little bit. That's not going to hurt anything. If you don't have fresh peaches, maybe they're not in season, frozen makes a great substitute. Canned peaches make a wonderful cobbler if you don't have fresh, or the fresh aren't good. Because let's be honest, not all peaches that we find fresh are good. A good way to tell is to simply smell it. If it does not, when you're at the store, if that peach is brick hard and it smells like nothing, it is not going to taste like a peach. Now, it may soften up as you let them set for a couple days, but the flavors are not there. If you smell, oh, see, these smell like peaches. There's a big difference. So if you always wanted to know how do you know, just smell it. If it smells like a peach, it's going to taste like a peach. The same is true with strawberries. If I smell my strawberries in the store before I buy them, I just, will just sniff it just like you would anything else. If it doesn't smell like a good ripe strawberry, it's not going to taste like anything, and I don't buy them. So these don't have any juices coming out. If you were using canned peaches, you would want to drain off most of the liquid. You could actually use the liquid in the batter if you wanted to. I'm going to sprinkle these with just a little bit of just regular granulated sugar, maybe a teaspoon over it all. What that will do is, as this starts baking, that will caramelize and just add another layer of flavor. Now these peaches are sweet. They don't need the sweetness, but because I'm baking them, I want to add that next layer of flavor, and I do that by sprinkling some sugar over top. This needs to bake at 350 degrees for about an hour. So we're just going to let that go, 350 degrees. Oh, these are so good. I just can't quit eating them. Let me just put that to the side, and I'll have that in a minute. I adore peaches. That is probably my favorite fruit when they're good. There just is nothing like it. I know, just a memory of mine. There's a little farm stand in Savannah, Georgia, right off the interstate. And any time during the summer that I may be traveling down that way, didn't get them this year, I always stop at that little farm stand. I can't remember the name of the exit, but or the number, but it's just right off of the interstate in Savannah, Georgia. They have just fresh off the farm peaches, and oh my goodness, are they ever good. Now, to go alongside that, we are going to make some just chili spiced fries. Couldn't be simpler. We have here just some, these are Yukon Golds, but you could use baking potatoes, you could use the Idahos, you could use the red potatoes, whatever kind of potato you want. I have washed these. Again, I don't like to peel my potatoes. I think there's flavor, there's definitely fiber and nutrients that are right there in the skin or just under the skin that when you peel them, you're taking that away. Let me get my spice mixture mixed up first. I'll tell you what, let's just take a quick break. I'm gonna eat that peach while we're on a break. I'm gonna clean this mess up. We're gonna when I come back, we'll start on our potatoes, we'll check on the roast, we'll check on the cobbler. So let me just clean up a little bit, take a quick break, and when I come back, I'll tell you how to make the potatoes. I'll be back in just a second. Alrighty, now we are going to make some fries to go alongside that and then a cheesy sauce for some fresh broccoli. But we're going to get started on the potatoes. I have here just a bowl that I'm going to put some olive oil in. I'm also going to add some red pepper flakes, some salt, some pepper, some cumin powder, and then just some chili powder. And I don't know, a couple tablespoons or so of olive oil. Now, I want to stir that together. Set that to the side. And I'm going to slice my potatoes in half. Well, you can still see it right here. And then, so I've got a flat cutting surface, and I like to do mine kind of thin. I have my oven preheated to 450 degrees, 425, 450, something like that's fine. And as I slice these, I'm going to put them down into that chili mixture. Okay. You could use frozen fries if you wanted to, and just toss them in that mixture. If you don't have any fresh potatoes, but you've got frozen, you could do that. I don't think they're as good, but they will work. You want about 2 pounds or so of potatoes. These, again, are Yukon Golds, but you could use red or Idaho, whatever you have. Okay, let's do another one. Okie dokie. That's probably plenty. Then take your hands, cook's best tool, toss it in that spice mixture, making sure every little potato has some of that blend on there, and then put them on a lined baking sheet because you don't want to clean up the stick. I promise you that. Get them out into a single layer, flat side down, and then pop them in your oven. You can do this in an air fryer if you have one. Those are becoming one of my favorite little cooking tools. I'm still learning. I'm still working on recipes for you, but we're getting there. All right, just make sure they're in a single layer. And then if you have any mixture left over, but you don't waste it, just pop it on your potatoes, just making sure they all have some. Rinse my hands. Pop that in mine's at 450, but you could do it at 425. You want a high temperature because you're going to roast these for about 15 or 20 minutes and they're done. Depends on how thin you slice them. Now, I have in my microwave just some fresh broccoli florets, and we are going to make a quick cheese sauce to go with our broccoli. I have in that skillet some butter that I am melting. Just about 3 tablespoons or so of butter. Okay, there it is. Where's my flour? You want to have equal amounts butter and flour. Get that up a little bit higher. And then just cheese of your choice. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. I'm going to go ahead and add it to my milk so I don't forget. A little bit of pepper if you want. I like pepper in mine. This is fresh ground. I just have a little spice mill. You've seen me do it on here before because I don't like the pre-ground pepper. And once you taste freshly ground pepper, you'll never go back to the pre-ground stuff. There's a world of difference in the flavor. When you buy that little canister on the shelf, you don't know how long that's been ground, and it loses so much flavor once you grind it that you need it ground fresh. Now, I love pepper mills. I have quite the collection of little pepper mills. I love them. I collect them, actually. But when I'm doing a lot of cooking, I have a little spice grinder. It's actually a little tiny coffee grinder. And I will grind up, pulse my peppercorns, whole peppercorns, just enough for maybe a few days. You don't want to have too many because they do lose flavor. Once they're ground, they just start losing that flavor. All right, our butter is melting. I'm going to help it along here by cutting that down into littler pieces. It was very cold. It came straight out of the fridge. Once your butter is melted, we're going to make a roux. Very simple to do. I need a whisk. Let me grab my little whisk. This is not a non-stick pan. It is the hard anodized. That's why I can use my metal scraper. I never use metal utensils in a non-stick. Add equal amounts of flour. Now, I like to add it a little bit at a time. You want a very dry product when you get done. I'll show you what I mean here. You see how that's still very, very liquidy? I need a little more flour. Probably all of it, actually. And that flour absorbs the butter, and that's the basis for your cheese sauce. Okay, you see how that's pretty much all absorbed. I let that cook for about 30 seconds to a minute. Okay, stir in my salt and my pepper to my milk. I'm using half milk, half heavy cream, but you could use all of either one. Slowly pour a little bit of milk in there at a time. If you dump all that in at once, you will have clumps. So I like to add a little bit at a time, whisk it in, making a mess as I go. As usual, my microwave is saying, hey, I'm done here. Okay, add the rest of my milk, whisk that in there, and you got a white sauce at this point. Then you can add your cheese. I'm just using cheddar. You can use whatever you want. Melt that in there and there's a cheese sauce. It can come off the heat. And that cheese melts. Give it just a second. Let's grab our, turn that off. I think I need a little bit more milk. Let's grab our broccoli and our milk. I just placed it in a container with a little bit of water, steamed it for just a few minutes. Whew, I love broccoli. Then I'm going to put my broccoli in my dish. I'm actually just going to add that water to this. I need to thin that out a little bit anyway. Put that in there. There we go. That thinned it out just perfectly. Now we're going to get our barbecue shredded up. Just take 2 forks and shred it apart and do your final sandwich. Alrighty, now at the end of your barbecue cooking, you want to take out the pork roast and take 2 forks and just shred it into pieces just like this, and add, some of the extra sauce if you want it more saucy. Your sauce is in there. Here's our steamed broccoli with our cheese sauce over top and our delicious peach cobbler. Remember, we put the batter on the bottom and I told you it was going to rise to the top. The batter rises up to the top and makes just a warm, delicious, gooey peach cobbler. That would be fantastic served with some fresh whipped cream or vanilla ice cream. I like to serve my barbecue on a bun. If I had some coleslaw, I'd put some slaw on there. But there you go, a quick and easy all-American meal that you can make any day of the week. Thanks for joining with me, and I will see you next time on Everyday Manna.